about them before, haven't we?
And he writes an article. I think, I'm not sure if it's once a month or once every 2 weeks. It's a spiritual thing because that's his background. Okay, and this one that I forwarded to you, it's fascinating because he talks about consciousness.
Oh, okay.
And what he thinks consciousness is. Okay. And he uses analogies, and I read that and I thought, that's weird because you and I use the word consciousness. We have like a definition, okay, or an exception of what it is, but he's just killed that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. So I thought, okay, this is something that you must read, and then we must talk about it. Okay.
No, I'll have a look at that. I got an email to say that you'd sent something, so yeah, I haven't had a chance to log into.
That's what it was, and he's got this center in America, center with scientists in it and so on, and anyway, you read that, and I think we must have a discussion.
Okay.
Maybe one of us should just make point forms for that because it's quite a lengthy article. But,
okay. And was there any context around it, or was it just like, oh, here's a?
No, there was context.
There was, okay.
Yeah, this is a Don Jones type article, okay, that he can get into.
Right, okay. Oh well, you've got me intrigued now.
I don't send things forward in a. How many things do you get from me sent to you? Not very often.
No, that's true. That's true. That's true. Yeah.
No, I read this and I just thought you and I need to talk about this.
Okay. No. Yeah. That's really interesting. Yeah. Okay. Very timely too, in many respects, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've been doing a lot of deep thinking in the mornings when we're out walking, just about about awareness and more of just sort of observing the ever unfolding narrative that seems to be running on the surface level, like stories that people are telling or their perception about things and that, and it's like, it's not on any one particular topic. It might be like, we've had a couple of bad storms lately.
Yeah.
And it just amazes me in one sense how, I suppose the media and others now are so hypersensitive about the weather. It's like, I can remember as a kid, like a storm would roll through in the afternoon, and it'll be thunder and lightning and heavy rain and that, and you'd kind of enjoy it as a theatre, But now there's this great panic about get your cars under cover and secure your goods and get off the roads, and it's like, oh goodness gracious, like it's a bit of rain falling from the sky, that's and it's only water, you see people scurrying. The other morning we were out walking and it started raining, it was like, well, the way I described it is just like that sweet spring rain, it was just exhilarating, walking in the rain,
Right.
And you see people scurrying around and that, and you're thinking, like, it's just a bit of water. It's not like cat's piss or something that's coming from the sky. It's just weird, isn't it? Well, I thought it was weird. Maybe I'm the weird one, but anyway.
I agree with you. Deepak Chopra, that's who it is.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll definitely read that. He's written quite a few books actually around.
Oh, he has a lot of books.
Yeah,
in South Africa, I had a lot of them before I moved. I had to leave them because I just couldn't bring my books, So I only brought my Logos books. That was all.
It's quite prolific, actually, isn't it? So,
yeah. But I really enjoyed them. I think I bought one since I've been here. Not sure. I look around my desk because I don't have a specific place for them. I've got some down here. Not sure. Here's one. Yeah. See,
Oh, okay, yep. Super
yeah,
Genius.
yeah.
I got a book in the mail today too, but mine's not as interesting as yours.
What's yours? Woodworking tools. Okay, great. That's
Yeah,
up your alley.
the care and use of Japanese woodworking tools. Anyway,
Okay. Okay. You spoke about them last week.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's
I'd actually forgotten that I ordered it, but anyway, there you go. A
yeah.
happy surprise.
uh, I I enjoy his books. So yeah,
He's
but
quite a good writing style too, hasn't he? That's quite easy to read, you know. So.
very easy to read. That's another thing I like about him, and I enjoy his style. It's amazing how a style can put you off as well, huh? And
Especially when you're talking about spiritual matters, because it's one of those subject matter areas where words can become totally inadequate very quickly.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree, but not only spiritual, because if I take I've grown up as an adult with Star Trek, the series.
Okay, yeah.
Now, it's as you know, it's been bought out by Netflix, and they've produced their first new series, and very well done. It was exciting, but at the same time now, they're allowing people to write books about things that are not going to be filmed or aren't filmed, but they're allowed to use the characters and so on and go off at a tangent.
Okay.
Now I bought two of them, I think it was last year or the beginning of this year, and the one was really well written, and the other one pathetically written. Okay. And it was actually a female that didn't write well, and now look for that other author that I liked, and okay, and buy some more on them, because I like occasionally just to I think go out for a walk in the park or the forest with your dog, and you think I like to put my feet up and read a sort of a fiction thing about things that are not here yet in the technology and in the realm, and going beyond wherever. Somehow that maybe in a previous incarnation I was a spaceship pilot or something. I don't know. So yeah. So in between, I mean, Sue loves to find me a fiction book, because I read so much non-fiction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she said, hey, you've got to relax. You've got to.
Kind of reminds me a little bit of. Do you remember the scientist Carl Sagan? Do you remember him at all? Or?
Rings a bell. The name rings a bell, but I can't recall.
Because that's some of the things that he did. He was a very well regarded, like astrophysicist or something. It's all about deep space and the planets and that sort of realm. But he also wrote a whole bunch of fiction books on topics, which was basically his imagination at work, I guess. For example, he wrote a book, I think they even made a movie of it, called Contact, which was about, meeting aliens and that sort of thing. That was quite fascinating, And with his scientific background, he wove the whole thing in the science into the story, So like the first point of contact they found was, they got this radio signal, which was just repeating a pattern, and he sort of embellished it out. And basically what it was is the pattern that came out of it was, the mathematical symbol pi, so and it was sort of just fascinating how he told the story and how the contact was made. But the fascinating thing about the contact is that there was no contact, in the sense that there was no, oh, here's an alien and we're meeting them. It was all just about discovering where they had been.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
Yeah.
and obviously the aliens were exploring different dimensions and so on, and part of what they were discovering through this was, the gateways into some of these other dimensions where these aliens had already, gone through.
Right.
So it was really quite fascinating, because he was talking about, black holes and wormholes and all of those sorts of things,
Yeah.
in there. But when you sort of look back at his style of writing, it was sort of like his imagination at play within the scientific realm, so to speak.
Okay.
So,
Yes. Yes. An ideal person, an astrophysicist to do fiction.
yeah, that's right.
Because you can really play. Maybe he's got ideas about, but he can't put it down as a scientist in a paper.
Yeah, well, I guess that's the realm of science, because unless you can prove it and replicate it, then it's not science, is it? It's
That's
just
right.
speculation. So that's how he used to
Offload himself. Yeah.
sort of explore concepts and ideas. Yeah.
Yeah. I've always liked them. Sort of way out. I don't like, it's not about gory stuff. I like something that's, the Star Treks have always got, and the books too now, always have a personal story. There's a story to it, a relationship issues or whatever. But then there's the excitement of the journey, and what they're discovering as well. So you get that discovery aspect, but you also get that personal issues, which I enjoy. Yeah,
That's quite clever. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'll definitely have a read of. I'll definitely start reading that link then, if you've sent that through. So I'll do that tonight. So
yeah. Do that, and then give me a call, and we can talk about it.
Yep, sounds good.
And see if we agree with Deepak Chopra.
Yeah, well, that's right. So,
yeah.
Sounds like a good idea. Well, what do you reckon? We'd leave it there now, or what would you?
Yeah, I'm easy. I'm going to go straight back into the project and the nervous system and so on. And yeah, so any aha moments that you come up with on my behalf, you must do that.
I will. I will.
You think, that's a good thing to have as a benefit in people with problems at home. Yeah, problems with their disease at home.
Yeah, the only thought that had come to mind when you were talking about it is that maybe it should be written in such a way that someone can pick up the book and basically open it anywhere, rather than making it a linear sort of story. Write it in such a way that someone could pick it up and open it. And as an example of that, I use like one of Sadhguru's books called Mystic's Musings.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's basically like, it's got an index and all of that sort of thing, but you could basically open it up anyway. And the way it's written is it's written in a conversational style. So you'll say, like Seeker will be asking a question and then he answers it. Basically.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
So
okay, I think that's a good idea, because this particular book that I've finished about a month ago, she says you can start anywhere in the book. Okay.
Yeah.
And another nice thing is that no matter where you open in the book, it's colorful, and the pages are beautiful, and
Did you write that?
No,
okay. I thought you said you wrote it. Oh, okay.
No. This is Lisa Messenger. Okay, yeah. She's from Sydney. She's got a publishing company actually, and that's where I got the idea from. Was from her, because they publish magazines, and you can't buy them on the shelf. Okay?
Oh, okay. Yep.
And but then they also write books, and. So
So what's the byline on the cover? It's got "Work from Anywhere," and what's it got under that?
How to set yourself free and still achieve. How to set yourself free and still achieve. Okay.
Okay.
She gave up an office after 10 years or so in Eastern Australia. She had these plush offices with directors and lots of people doing. You can imagine the people that they had there, and closed the office and said, everybody work from home. Okay, I'm going to tour the world. And this is a book about her doing that and writing. But every day she was working. Okay?
Sounds like digital distributism, doesn't it?
It sounds like, it sounds like digital nomads. Okay, she talks about digital nomads as well. But yes, it absolutely is. And I was going to, at some stage, I think we need to just make contact with her but I'm following her from her website. It's actually interesting because they quite copywriting is it's something interesting, and then it's off, buy this, buy that. Okay.
Yeah.
And so they make no bones, and it's only women in her organization. Okay. So that's obviously something of hers as well. But she's written something like, I don't know, 10 or 15 books, this one. And I'm sure there's another one coming out this year that she talks about. So I got ideas from reading it, but the ideas weren't so much what she was writing, but who she was and her organization really was fascinating. Yeah.
I think you've just planted a couple of seeds. Okay. Even my dog's looking at me.
Good. Write it down.
Sounds good.
Yeah. We'll see me talking about books. Whereas this one, is it was really fascinating.
Who was the author of that one?
That was Diamandis and Steve Kotler. So still, very sort of business-like in a sense, but really looking at how technologies are converging. He also wrote Abundance before this, which I looked at the summary, and I didn't particularly like it. But this one was really well worth reading. And the way I read also is, I don't know about you, but I don't, if I buy a book, I must get the best benefit out of it. So what I do, you probably I have a watermark, and I watermark things. Okay. So when I'm finished, I go back and I look at. This one I've watermarked is Reinventing the City.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you read those other books you said you were going to buy from Douglas Rushkoff? Have you read those yet, or
yes,
bought those?
I've finished the one that throwing rocks at the Google bus.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Then I bought the other one that came after the throwing rocks, but I bought it really without looking enough at it. It's basically just broken down into, I don't know, just like a subject. It might be a page and a half, or it might be half a page, and it's just things that he's sayings or he's talking. So it doesn't flow in any way. So what I sort of look at the content. Look at the contents page, and then think, I'll go and have a look at this and look at that. So I've still got to fathom out, because I've only just finished the throwing rocks at the Google bus, so I haven't had time to really get right into it. But it really looked like a totally different way of writing, and so it might again be something that, coming back to what you've just said about the magazine, that they can open it anywhere. I really like that. Okay. So you need to have, like, even short little things that give value to that person in that situation. And there also perhaps needs to be, if you want to sit back and read, some articles. So definitely, I will build that into the design. And
Sounds good.
yeah, that does sound. Thanks for the suggestion. So, what are your intentions? Are you going to also be writing?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think about these areas that are of interest to me, and like this last weekend just gone past, and I go and dabble in some stuff, which I thoroughly enjoy. But dabbling in the stuff doesn't convey some of those core messages that need to be conveyed. So it's going to be a combination of doing and writing and talking about, I think. Yeah.
On your project of upscaling?
Yeah.
Upcycling, at least.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
I've sort of been, again, just looking at some of those issues around, like the big ticket items around, water conservation or water use, and and even like in this past week, there was that big announcement, where the scientists have now announced that there's apparently a lot of water on the moon.
Yes, I
Yeah.
saw that. It came on 7 News. Yeah.
And they're saying how that's going to significantly aid, their ambitions to explore, further parts of the galaxy or the solar system or whatever. Probably the solar system. I don't know if you go much further than that.
Well, they said the moon itself, because they saw down a crater or something. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think this is just a starting. I think they know a hell of a lot more about the moon than I really do believe that. So I think they're starting to reveal certain stuff to, get the mass population thinking. So when they do a disclosure, a major disclosure like, hey, they found people living in the middle of the moon, and hey, the moon actually isn't natural.
Or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
So definitely, when Trump comes back in, there's going to be some disclosures.
Well, there's certainly a lot of, like, even the science that you read about the moon, because they say, like, the size of the moon compared to the size of the Earth, like it's not proportional. And
no, it's not. Yeah.
And they were saying that even the gravitational forces between the moon and the Earth and how they rotate, the point of balance, is outside of the Earth.
Yeah, I've read that. Yeah.
And I think they said the same thing applies to, it might have been Saturn and the Sun. They said the point of balance is outside the two bodies, the two physical bodies.
Yeah.
So the center of that orbit is not, because like a lot of the original science was, the planets, rotate around the sun and the moons rotate around the planets, and that. Well, it's actually not true in the sense that they rotate around these non-visible center points, so.
Yeah, you see, the interesting, the moon is the only moon that rotates in such a way that you never see the dark side. Every moon elsewhere in our universe, you see the whole moon as it rotates. Okay, but this doesn't. I mean, the only one.
Yeah.
That immediately I start. I love my conspiracy theories. That's why I read science fiction. You see.
But as you say, there are some very unusual characteristics associated with it, and And what about that other scientific achievement where they landed that probe onto that tiny little asteroid to get some samples? I mean, how incredible was that? I mean, how incredible was that?
Absolutely. But then you've got to ask yourself, how old were you and I when when they landed on the moon for the first time. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, well, it was a long time ago. I remember that day still, they all filed. I was at school. I would have been in probably year 2 or 3 or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're all filed into the big hall, and they had this TV up the front, and we're all sort of like, leaning forward, squinting, watching this fuzzy grey image. So,
yeah. Now, can you tell me, following on with my conspiracy theories, that man hasn't put people on the moon on a regular basis or doing something where nobody can see, which has to be the dark side? Okay.
Oh, for sure. And I read a story there somewhere. I can't remember where I even read it, but they even suggested that there's a population of humans on Mars. So
yes, yeah. Now that I tell you where that came from. Were what do you call these people that leave their work and then spill all the beans about their work?
Like whistleblowers.
That's the word I was trying to look for. Whistleblowers. Yeah. Now there have been whistleblowers working for these projects. Okay, where they have what was developed from alien technology a long time ago. We're talking about 50 years ago. Okay, and what happened was they are now able to just transport, like Star Trek, people down from their ship onto the thing. They can transport people to Mars and have been transporting people to Mars. And there is a big population of young people, or they were young, I don't know now, but they only were doing young people, according to the whistleblower. And he described everything in great detail of, what it looked like, how you got there, and so on. But you couldn't come back. That nobody that was transported there could come back. Okay, maybe I don't know for what reason, I can't recall now. But so there's so much that's going to be disclosed. I'm sure as soon as we knocked out this Illuminati that controls this planet, and and get some real knowledge out there about what actually is happening. Yeah.
No, I think you're right. It'll be like quite significant leaps, won't it? Because even one of my sons was talking to me there on the weekend, and he was saying about the concept of quantum computing, and he was making similar comments. He said, because he's a bit of an IT guy, and he's sort of saying, all the indications between the lines are that they just haven't announced it to the broader public, and these quantum computers can do things beyond our imagination, really. So
I agree with him. Totally agree with him. And and there are times when I actually get frustrated.
Yeah.
But yet, they confine the consciousness of people, to their daily activities and their primitive lifestyles. Okay.
Well, it's just another form of propaganda, isn't it, really? Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Because that's what propaganda does. It seeks to control people.
Yeah. Absolutely fascinating. Yeah.
Okay then. Well, let's leave it at that, and I'll look forward to talking to you on the weekend, and we can have a nice in-depth discussion about consciousness.
Yeah, about Deepak Chopra. Yeah, I agree. But just you're not clear yet how you're going to take the first step as far as moving into this recycling or upcycling. Yes.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah. No. Well, when I say clear, no. But
I mean a direction, like tomorrow is the next step.
The direction, as a matter of principle, is solidifying at a great rate of knots. It really is.
Okay.
I suppose, and I put a little bit of it on Trello, and the broader sort of brush principle is very much about, the defining the problem, but the problem becomes the solution. So that if you say, okay, that there's too much plastic waste on the earth, well, then that problem becomes a solution, because if you can turn that problem into a value proposition, then all of a sudden it's a fantastic opportunity.
Yeah.
So yeah. And it's the same when you look at other sort of principles, like, as I've sort of looked at, like the issue about, water supply. Well, every drop of water on the planet, is still there. It doesn't go away. And then the way they sort of illustrate it is that, okay, out on the space station, that to sustain one human being on the space station, or presumably the moon or wherever, all you need is 1 cup of water, because that cup of water, they can consume it, and in that sort of environment, like in a space station, the water goes through the body in the form of urine and perspiration and just vapor and so on. But because it's a closed system, it captures the whole lot, and all you need to do is just remove the impurities, and you've got that 1 cup of water.
Right.
So in that sense, 1 cup of water can sustain a human being in a closed system.
Yeah. But you did read that article, or that I sent you, the one where the water in the atmosphere is now developed a device. Okay.
Yeah, brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. The water, drinking water is a thing of the past. Problems with drinking water.
That's right. And there's lots of examples of those sorts of technologies which are out there. The problem at the moment is that, and I think it's a legacy of like the industrial age, and that, like look at power, for example. Like there's great proliferation of solar panels on roofs of houses everywhere you look now.
Yeah.
But the energy companies hate them.
Yeah.
Because it's not in their best interest, with their centralized power systems to propagate, a distribution of power generation.
Yeah.
So you've got those greed and all those sort of forces come back into play, which sort of stops our progress, So
yeah. But I think it doesn't stop. I think it probably slows down our progress.
Yeah, that's right. And creates friction and conflict.
Yeah, it was now at lunchtime. I don't know. We opened a packet of something. Anyway, now in Australia, in the recycle, you can't put a soft plastic in the recycle bin. Okay, and so on this packet it says this packet is recyclable. You must bring it to Coles. Okay, and we have got relationships now with various people. We'll turn it into other products. Now, why it doesn't happen on a provincial level, I don't know. But the fact is that there's stuff going on now. Okay, so
well, that's right. I mean, and this is where recycling sort of became a propaganda instrument rather than a proper industry. Like I think it was 18 months ago, 2 years ago, here in Queensland. We have like a separate recycling bin, as I'm sure you do in Perth, and one for your general rubbish and one for your recycling, and there's a third bin now for green waste as well. But what came out of it? But what came out of it is that the recycling bin, went into a different truck, but they just took it to landfill.
You're joking? No. Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh no.
So it's just obscene.
That's obscene. That really is. I mean, that's.
Well, it's incompetence at the highest level, really. But
yeah.
So there's that sort of stuff. Again, this evil propaganda which permeates so many elements of our society. It's just astounding.
Yeah. But just turning to something else that I discovered yesterday, and that was we, Perth has an enormous number of public buses.
Mm.
Okay. They cover all the suburbs and land up at a railway station. Okay. But what I discovered was everyone is electric. Is yours too?
No, the ones here tend to run on natural gas at the moment. So
okay, all these run on batteries. They're dead quiet, and obviously, and that impressed me no end.
Well, see, that's the other element, like the battery technology that's being fed out into the community now too. You can't tell me that there's a lot more advances in that space than we're being told as well.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
But again, I think it's big energy, saying, oh, well, this is not in our best interests, so.
Yeah.
Meaning not in their best profit interests.
Yeah. Anyway.
Come the revolution, though,
we'll
all have batteries,
Yeah. But, talking about that, this morning I listened to old Gordon Sather, the guy and he, along with masses, like 200 and something people have been kicked off YouTube, totally, kicked off any Google, kicked off even things like MailChimp, okay, and it goes on. I think he had about 12 things that he was kicked off because of the manipulation. Fortunately now, okay, there have been so many of them, is that a lot of them have clubbed together now, and they're going to take Google and Facebook to court. And they're trying to get an emergency thing because this is stopping all the pro-Trumpers, okay?
Oh, right, okay.
All of them, okay? And they're all pro-Trump because he's disclosing more and more of what's happening to the American people and historically. And anyway, let's hope that comes. But in the meantime, there are new platforms that are coming up now. He's on a new platform. Fortunately, I was on email, on his email that came sort of like once a month or something, and that's how I picked up. He's on 2 different platforms now. So,
well, it's certainly within the realm of possibility because, if people decide overnight to abandon a particular platform and to go to another one, I mean, it's not like it hasn't happened before. So
yeah. But between between these two, these YouTube and Google, but the people that were kicked off, the 15 that have clubbed together to take to court, they have over 1 million views a day. Okay? And they're all pro-Trump. Okay. Besides the other things that they're there for, that they do. I mean, that's not going to make an influence. If they were out there, it's sickening. It's sickening that we're in such a society that people can do things like that and just manipulate. And then they blame Russia, or they blame China or something.
Yeah, well, fix the blame fast. That's right.
Yeah. Anyway, we've been going on and on and on.
Very good. Okay, well, I'll talk to you in a few days' time then.
Yeah, great stuff, man.
Okay,
Thanks
then.
for the day.
No, good. See you now.
Bye.
Bye.